You can admit it. You looked at the Week 3 schedule, didn't think it was any good. It turned out to be amazing. I think Week 4 is also going to be amazing. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills battling for first today in the AFC East. And yes, they have beaten the Dolphins 10 out of 11 in Buffalo at Highmark Stadium. But this is a very different Miami team. This is a team that scored 70 a week ago. We are live in Buffalo and Cleveland and Dallas and so many other places as well. We're live with you. NFL Game Day Preview. Let's go.
I don't do this for a paycheck.
Got a day for football here.
Step out on the field and hear the crowd.
Hey, we dancing every one of them. Create your own energy. Every single step, you dominate.
I'll be there for life. All I'm dreaming of, 'cause it's in my blood. I'm in this for the love.
Mahomes, back of the end zone, touchdown!
Man, you can't script this stuff.
It is on right now. Holy smokes.
The Ravens lost in Cleveland last year, but that man did not play. Tyler Huntley started. Today, Lamar Jackson is in uniform for a banged-up Ravens team, still very banged up. But there is a big injury headline in Cleveland that we will give to you coming up momentarily as we welcome you to Week 4 here on the NFL channel. Week 4 of NFL Game Day Preview. We are thrilled that you are here with us for yet another show. There's a game in London, by the way. Coming up shortly, we'll show you how Mac Hollins is quite upset at Desmond Ritter's messy room. Not Andy's room, but what Desmond Ridder is doing at Wembley. Welcome. I'm Andrew Siciliano. That right down there is Cynthia Freeland, not wearing a Lions hat today.
They let me have a day off. I'm wearing the Lions hat. It'll be back on if next time I don't pick the Lions and they win.
Okay, we'll explain that a little later. And we are thrilled to welcome to the show the former Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, the former head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, the legendary 85 Bear. Woo! Good morning to you, Leslie Frazier.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you, sir.
Yes.
Steve Weich will be here shortly, as always. Plus, we have fantasy from Michael F. Florio. He has your winners for you. All of that coming up on this hour on the NFL channel. Let's get the actives and inactives for you as we are an hour away from kickoff. Some notable names here, friends. Notably the quarterbacks, Derek Carr and Deshaun Watson. One is good. One, surprisingly, is not good. Let's open with that one and welcome in our NFL Network insider, Mike Garafolo, to explain why this guy, let's see him, walking into the tunnel at First Energy Stadium, is getting the start. Dorian Thompson-Robinson here, Mike Garafolo, is good to go. Well, I'm sorry, not good to go. He is playing today because Deshaun Watson is not. He tried to test that shoulder out pregame. What happened?
Yes, Deshaun Watson, you saw some reports coming into the day saying that there was optimism that he was going to be able to go, despite the fact that on Friday, when the media was out there for the viewing portion of practice, he only threw a couple of passes there. Didn't look like he could do much, but Watson was telling those around him and telling the team, yeah, I feel great. I feel like I'm going to be fine. But they said, you've got to be able to show us on the field on Sunday. He was unable to do that. So, wow, look at that suit right there.
That's a fantastic
Dorian
suit.
Thompson-Robinson, the rookie fifth-rounder, DTR to his friends, who had a phenomenal preseason. And he showed this team that he was able to process things quickly. He was able to set protections. That's obviously a big thing for a rookie quarterback when you're going up against a starting defense. And I say starting defense because, like Aiden O'Connell, who I'm going to talk about in a second, DTR in the preseason showing what he could do, now gets the chance to show that he could do it against guys that are starters in the NFL. Will that preseason success carry over? We shall see.
All right. He had great preseason success, as did Aiden O'Connell. Cut to him in a second. Let's do Derek Carr here, because this is one where when we saw the injury last week at Lambeau, honestly, Mike, I don't think any of us expected him to be active today for the Saints against the Bucs.
Well, it's an AC joint sprain. Sometimes you see guys play a week after that, sometimes not able to do that. Jimmy Garoppolo being one of the guys I recall who had an AC joint sprain, was not able to come back the following week. Derek Carr toughed this one out, and he showed him his toughness and his ability to do things in practice on Friday when he worked in a limited capacity. That's when things started to turn for Derek Carr, so he will get the start today against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers instead of Jameis Winston. I mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. I also mentioned Derek Carr. He's a former Raiders quarterback, so let's go to the Raiders with Garoppolo, who was ruled out yesterday. Now Aiden O'Connell gets the start, although a lot of folks thought it was going to be Brian Hoyer. Hoyer did get reps with the starters earlier in the week, but O'Connell, who like DTR, had a really good preseason and now gets the chance to prove that he can do it against starters. He got those reps late in the week, so the Raiders gave reps to all three of their quarterbacks, by the way, with the number ones, because they thought for a minute that Jimmy Garoppolo on Thursday might be able to go, but it is O'Connell, the rookie now. This is a fascinating storyline to watch because he was processing things quickly, getting the ball out quickly in the preseason, going to have to do that today in his first NFL start.
His first preseason start, he went 15-17, and the only 2 incompletions were drops. I'm with you. This will be fun today. Aiden O'Connell against the Chargers defense that's given up big plays, that barely survived last week in Minnesota, with, as always, a lot of Raider fans in the building at SoFi. Who's calling me? Potential spam. Sorry, Mike. I thought that might have been you just messing with me. Mike Garafolo. Not this time. Our NFL Network insider. As we take you to Buffalo Highmark Stadium for the first time this year, we got Damar Hamlin on the field. That's because Jordan Poyer is inactive today for Buffalo. That is a big headline. That is a notable injury there for a very good Bills defense that dominated last week, sacked Sam Howell 9 times, turned the Commanders over 5 times. This is a very different challenge today, Stacey Dales. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in football, with the Dolphins coming to town off of a 70 burger a week ago.
It's almost shocking to hear that, and it's been shocking for me to say it all week, Andrew. It is substantial. The number 1 offense in football against the number 2 defense in football. Miami, Buffalo, it is energetic here, it is magnetic here, and it is a beautiful day. It's about 70 degrees. I think the Miami Dolphins are certainly loving this weather, but you mentioned Damar Hamlin, and big role on special teams. You're going to see Taylor Rapp start in place of Jordan Poyer for a defense that leads the NFL in takeaways. The Bills have 9 of them. Will they manufacture any, though, against this offense? Because Tua Tagovailoa, as we've documented and chronicled all week, gets the ball out so adeptly fast, roughly 2.5 seconds per throw. It is the best mark in the National Football League, and the operation is really clean. When I spoke with fullback Alec Ingold this week, he told me Tua does such a good job using the entire 40 seconds of the play clock, and then with incredible anticipation. And part of that, as you guys know, it's all the pre-snap movement. The way they create misdirection, the way they get you out of position. They are number 1 in motions and shifts, which means they're doing a lot of that stuff and almost getting a head start on you offensively. And as one Buffalo source described it to me, they will widen you out to create those big seams or creases or that misdirection for a big cutback run from somebody like Raheem Mostert. And guys, the speed is real. I was just watching Tyreek Hill and his receiver core and running back core down on the other end. I think the nickname is Legion of Zoom. It's a real thing as they get ready to face the Bills today.
Yeah, I also like Greatest Show on Surf. We could workshop these names here as we go through the hour. This guy has workshopped how to stop this Miami team. Leslie, obviously the former defensive coordinator, associate head coach of the Buffalo Bills. You guys beat him in the playoffs last year. That was the Skylar Thompson game.
Yep.
This is a Tua Tagovailoa game. Stacey mentioned the speed.
Yeah.
He's getting the ball out, Coach, 2.34 seconds on average after the snap. This offense is even better than the one that you guys faced last year.
Yeah, and the thing that makes him better, Andrew, is the quarterback. He's improved. You can see the confidence, Stacey. I'm sure you saw it when you took a look at the tape. He's playing with so much more confidence and control. And you take a look at some of these clips, you get a feel for what Stacey just talked about with all the pre-snap movement to try to mess with you a little bit, get you out of sorts, spread you out, and then hit those seams. And the fact that he's getting the ball out so quick, you better be really good at, if you get him to hold it like they do here, now you got to be able to win with 4. They don't, and now it becomes a touchdown against Denver. So, you know, if you can get him to hold it, because he wants to get it out when that back foot hits, now your front has to win. If that doesn't happen, he's so accurate, and they do a great job of throwing the football between the numbers and completing passes and then being able to get yards after catch, it creates a lot of problems for your defense. So it's going to be important that the Bills be able to rush before, which I think they can, and be able to disrupt the timing of those receivers so he can't throw on time.
Yeah, the rushing with 4 is really key here, because if you can drop back into coverage, that is where you'll have to see Taylor Rapp step up, because it is a huge deal that Jordan Poyer's not playing. Maybe we're not talking about it enough, but the spine of that defense, those safeties, that safety duo, they're like the best in football. So when you don't have your starting safety there, I don't care, Taylor Rapp is a very good player, but I don't care. Like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, they have the chemistry. They have worked together for so long. We've seen Tre'Davious White step up this season and look a lot more like his former self after the injury-laden season last year and returning. But I think that Taylor Rapp will be a huge key to this game, because you're watching like Tyreek Hill, none of the receivers have been asked to block anyone, because all they're doing is running into space because they're so fast. I think Coach McDermott said something like, we wish we could get Usain Bolt out here to help us with our thing, but unfortunately he wasn't available for them. So, they didn't get that in practice this week.
Yeah.
And Cynthia and company, just to Coach Frazier's point here, the Buffalo Bills are able to rush with 4 and get that pressure up front. In fact, they have the highest rush percentage, or pressure percentage, in the NFL, roughly 51%. But can they muster it against Tua and company today? I will tell you this, Tua Tagovailoa has not had the same play caller in back-to-back seasons since he was in high school. The relationship that he has with his head coach and play caller, it is uniquely special. It's the kind of relationship you dream of between he and Mike McDaniel and the quarterback. And the seamless process of him moving from the first year to the second year with all of the talent surrounding him and the speed, this is the fastest offense in football. And I will tell you this, the Buffalo Bills have been studying tape this week, and I don't know if Sean McDermott was more anxious to prepare for a team than I've seen him in recent years, the play caller defensively of these guys, because it has been a task getting ready for their offense.
Coach,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, just to pick up on what you mentioned, Stacey, about the fact that Tua has a chance to work in the same system and back-to-back years, that's a big deal, and it's showing up in his play on the field. Just the poise and knowing where to go with the football, you can see it in the confidence that he has. And yes, I'm sure that Sean had a lot of angst this week preparing for this football team when you see what they did a week ago and what they've done this season. But I do know this, Stacey, watching that New England tape, you saw a formula there that could give you a chance to slow this offense down a little bit. And I'm sure that the Bills that they did look real hard at that tape over the course of the week, being able to defend the run with 6, keeping the secondary where you need the secondary to be able to deal with those wide receivers. Because if you're giving up explosives in the run game and in the pass game, you have no chance against this offense, because they live on explosives. You got to find a way to make them have to work their way down the field, and then they can become a little bit more ordinary if that happens.
Hands down, the game of the day, much more on this one coming up. Stacey Dale's on a beautiful day. Thank you, Stacey, there in Buffalo. The Dolphins have 17 touchdowns through 3 games. Is that good? No one's ever done that in the Super Bowl era through 3 games. As you look live here in Cleveland, that is Odell Beckham Jr. He is not going to play today, so no big OBJ revenge game against the Browns. It's a long list of injuries for the Ravens. Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, is inactive. Also inactive, Marlon Humphrey, and the safety Marcus Williams. And for the Browns, Sarah Walsh, Deshaun Watson inactive as well. He tried that shoulder out pregame after not really doing anything during the week, and it wasn't even, they didn't even really give him a chance to throw. He just went right inside.
Well, he came out, and I was standing right by him. He went through some warm-ups. He was very efficient warming up. He threw a little bit with weighted balls, and he was stretching that shoulder out. And at that point, he had a smile on his face, and I think the idea here was that most folks thought he was going to play through this. But you mentioned it. When he did start throwing, it was very just light throwing, which is all we heard he did all week, just those light tosses. And then he had pretty lengthy discussion with his offensive coordinator, his head coach, his GM, and some folks from the training staff out on the football field before they patted him on the back and then they walked into the locker room. And then, of course, the news came out that the rookie, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, is going to get the start today. He took a couple of reps in mop-up duty last week, but these will be his first NFL throws. He did take reps all week with the ones, though, because Watson was limited and wasn't really practicing. He called those reps huge. Kevin Stefanski was also asked if you would have to alter the game plan at all. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is a guy that can take off, and he said anybody that you're preparing to potentially start better be able to execute that game plan. So we'll see what DTR can bring to the table in a huge divisional battle here, Andrew.
Yep, and a huge game as well, coach, for this Browns defense, because they got to protect a rookie quarterback here. This Browns defense in 3 games has allowed 491 yards total. That is the fewest in a 3-game stretch to open the season by any team this century.
No doubt. They have been historic in these first 3 games. To hold teams to 163 yards on average, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So what they're doing on defense, it just sends chills through your body. The fact that they are only giving up 11 points a game, I mean, well, actually about, 10 points?
They've given up 1 touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, they're really, really good. And they're going to need to be good today against an offense that is still trying to find their way a little bit. I think Todd Monken will find out what it's like coaching in the National Football League against a really, really good defense in Cleveland. And the fact that they're doing a good job at the line of scrimmage, being able to get 8 at the line of scrimmage, and having the secondary people that are able to play man-to-man, that gives them an opportunity to be really good at what they do, and that's playing really good defense. And here's some clips that kind of speak to that. Myles Garrett is not only a great pass rusher, but he's good against the run, and they are the #1 team in the league against the run, and they're at or near the top in every category on defense. And so you're counting on your defense today to carry the offense, and they're capable of doing it.
I mean, let's put some numbers to those. Like the yards before contact on the defense in the run game, they rank #1 in the league in yards before contact allowed, which is why their run game is so good. And then on that same note, Myles Garrett has the fastest get-off rate, meaning you see those sacks because he's able to just outstep the offensive tackle or offensive guard.
You saw it in the run game there, too.
You saw it in the run game there, too. But both of those things, his actual speed, I think he might have, like, different fast-twitch muscle fibers than some of the other people. Maybe he has some extra.
He might actually be a superhero.
He might actually not be human. Who knows? But when you're seeing those two things together, you really limit the explosiveness and the option to, on early downs, get their run game. You're always in, if you're in 3rd and long, you're licking your chops if you're in 3rd and long, right? Yeah. So that's just what's happening.
Yeah. And because of that, now Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, those guys are able to get a chance to get after the quarterback because they're doing so good against the run game on 1st and 2nd down. And with their secondary playing at such a high level, Sarah, this is a defense that if you're a coach, if you're the opposing team, you're saying to yourself, how are we going to score? How are we going to score against these guys? They're really, really good at every level, at the defensive line, at linebacker, and the secondary as well.
Well, Andrew touched on it as we started this segment, the Ravens injuries. There were 11 guys listed on that injury report. I know it's next man up. I know that this is something that guys know they have to deal with in the NFL, but what the Ravens are dealing with is really extraordinary. It's a lot. Ronnie Stanley, Andrew mentioned, not coming back. Tyler Linderbaum just making his way back. So those were 2 key offensive linemen for him there. And then they've got banged up running backs in Justice Hill. Dobbins is out for the year. Gus Edwards is coming back from a concussion. You mentioned OBJ. Rashad Bateman is also out. So across this board, Lamar Jackson is going to be asked to do a lot in this offense that is so injury depleted. But as Mark Andrews told me, with Lamar Jackson, anything is possible.
Absolutely, and that Browns defense knows that, certainly. Sarah Walsh live there, First Energy Stadium, ahead of an AFC North battle in Cleveland. Thank you, Sarah. We have an NFC East battle in Philly coming up next. Do the Commanders upset the Eagles there again? That is one of 9 games about to kick at 1 o'clock Eastern time. You can follow that game and the 8 other ones as well on Game Center right here on the NFL channel when we get done at 1. Don't go anywhere.
tell you now, Jacoby gets in there.
NFL Game Day preview, everybody. You are looking live at Philadelphia, at a man who has run for over 300 yards. DeAndre Swift there the last 2 weeks. A.J. Brown, big game last week as well on a Monday night. It's a short week here for the Philadelphia Eagles. They are back at home. They're one of 3 undefeated teams remaining in the National Football League, but they're facing a team that beat them in their own building a year ago. That would be the Washington Commanders. A year ago, they were 8-0. They lost Week 10. This is Week 4. This is Sherry Burris live with us on NFL Game Day Preview. Is this, I hate to use the cliche, Sherry, kind of a trap game here for the Eagles against a team that knows how to win in that building?
Well, I got to tell you, Andrew, the Eagles aren't taking this game lightly. They understand Washington coming in here has a chip on their shoulder that, as you did mention, they beat them in this very building last year, spoiling their record that they handed them their first loss. So Washington going to try to do that again here today. But as we see, Jalen Hurts hasn't been putting up the most impressive numbers that we've seen from him. He's thrown 3 interceptions already this season. So hoping Jalen can get together. Also rely heavily on this run game against this Washington defensive front.
All right, Sherry Burris there live in Philadelphia as the Commanders try to win 2 in a row there over the Eagles at Lincoln Financial. Thank you, Sherry. By the way, that one loss last year, if you like quarterback wins and losses as stats, that one loss for Jalen Hurts is the only loss the last 2 years for Hurts in the regular season. It was against the Commanders. Now, I personally don't necessarily like quarterback wins and losses as a stat, but we'll say it's 3-1 here for Jalen Hurts. A huge reason that the Commanders won that game Week 10 last year was that they were able to run the football. They were able to control the clock as we focus on this one here in the NFC East. And welcome Steve Weich to the show. Steve, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
As always, sir. Coach, you know that running the football, taking the air out of the ball, if you will, has to be Ron Rivera's way to do it again this year.
Absolutely. I had a chance to talk with Ron earlier in the week, and that's exactly what we talked about, being able to run the football a little bit better than they did a week ago. And that's been the focus throughout this week. This offense that Philadelphia has, if they're able to get a lead, Steve and I were talking about this a little bit ago, if they are able to get a lead and take your run game away from you, it is very, very difficult for your offense to stand back there and try to throw it all over the ballpark. They have to be able to run the ball, much like they did a year ago. I think the stats you shared with me, they ran the ball 49
times.
And averaged 3.0, but it's the fact that they ran it 49 times because that keeps that offense off the field and protects your quarterback and protects this offensive line that Washington has as well. So it's important today to find a way to run the football and not fall behind early.
And Leslie, they got the perfect man calling the plays to run the football. And Eric Bieniemy, you talk about last year when they ran the ball 49 times in that game. Think about what Eric Bieniemy did against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. The only reason Kansas City won this game is they ran the ball in the second half. 119 of 158 of their rushing yards came in the second half, as did 19 of their 27 runs. So he knows something about this Philadelphia scheme and some of its players, what they like to do in certain down and distances, where they could set up something to run the football. But let's keep in mind, the Eagles were minding Patrick Mahomes as well, and not quite Sam Howell.
Yeah.
So that's the big challenge. But to Coach's point also, if Washington gets to the point where they have to throw the ball, remember what's been happening to Sam Howell. He's been hit a ton.
Yeah.
And if he can't protect himself the way this has happened the past couple of weeks, he might see Jacoby Brissett.
I mean, a ton is an understatement.
Yes.
9 sacks a week ago by that Buffalo defense here on Sam Howell. They turned him over 5 times. He threw 4 picks. He was, if we can use an old Sam Darnold phrase from 3 years ago, seeing ghosts much of the game. And after 2 really promising starts, weeks 1 and 2, Sam Howell took a major step backwards. As for that run game, Chris Rodriguez, the rookie running back from Kentucky, is inactive today as well for Washington, so a little depleted there. Not that he's the #1 guy in the backfield. Big NFC East game coming up. You think you're starting DeAndre Swift, right? I mean, yeah, he's run for 300 yards the last 2 weeks. That's an obvious one. But coming up, Michael F. Florio is here with the rest of your fantasy advice. His must-start running back that isn't DeAndre Swift. It's NFL Game Day preview, everybody. I assume you're watching on a connected device. Of course you are. Maybe you're watching on your phone, your laptop. This is what the Twitter looks like right now, or the X. Call it what you may. As we look around, the 9 stadiums about to kick off. If you have not yet set your fantasy lineup, well, you're kind of too late because we've already had the Jaguars beat the Falcons in London. But it doesn't mean like you can't mess with the rest of your lineup. And for that, it's Michael F. Florio from NFL Fantasy Live on NFL Network and the Fantasy Show as well, right here on the NFL channel. Happy week 4 to you, Florio.
Happy week 4.
All right, man, give me a must-start quarterback, one that maybe isn't so obvious.
This one was not obvious at all a couple weeks ago, but Russell Wilson, I think, is someone that you want to get in your starting lineup.
Russell Wilson of the 0-3 Denver Broncos.
Yes,
okay,
of the team that just gave up 70 real-life points a week ago. Russell Wilson is playing good ball this year. He's thrown for 300 yards in 2 straight games, multiple passing touchdowns in 2 out of the 3. What I love is 2 weeks ago, he showed us he could still run when he has to. You can't get that every game. And then he's facing the Bears, who you were just saying have allowed at least 25 points in every single game in their losing streak, at least 27 in every game so far this season. I think this is going to be a good game for Russell Wilson, and Marvin Mims is a sleeper that I like this week as well.
Okay, like that one. All right, the Bears losing streak that Florio mentioned, it's 13. This is now October. Happy October to you. Change your calendars. It's October 1. The Bears have not won a game since the week before Halloween last year. It's been that long. All right, DeAndre Swift is your must-start running back. My must-start running back, I mentioned earlier. Your must-start running back is whom?
Not DeAndre Swift for me. I'm going with, who am I?
Alvin Kamara.
That's it.
Teamwork.
Alvin Kamara, who he is back, and he is a welcomed addition to a lot of your fantasy football lineups. Look, I have a number of teams where I drafted Alvin Kamara. I am starting him right away. I know this Bucs run defense looks tough on paper, but last week they did allow 130 rushing yards to DeAndre Swift, over 200 to the Eagles as a team, and Alvin Kamara knows this defense very well. He has 10 touchdowns against them in his career. Given the amount of volume up for grabs with no Jamal Williams, I say go ahead and get him in your lineup right away.
Suspended the first 3 games of the year. Alvin Kamara is back today. Your must-start wide receiver is a rookie.
Yeah, Tank Dell, who has been playing great ball as of late. Over the last 2 weeks, he has been the Texans' top receiving target in each of those games, and he's given you over 20 fantasy points. And what I love is he's done it in different ways. He's won downfield, he's won in the red zone, which he's much better than he gets credit for there. And despite the big numbers he's put up, he was tackled at the 1-yard line once and had another touchdown called back due to holding. He could have been putting up even bigger games. I think on a Texans team that throws a lot, start Tank Dell.
This is my low-key, really good game of the week, by the way, Texans and the Steelers. The big name, and we do this every week, the big name that you say keep out of your lineup is?
Joe Burrow. Look, it hurts me to say, but Joe Burrow right now is averaging less than 9 fantasy points per game. He has not reached 16 in a single game, and he has just 2 passing touchdowns on the year, same number of interceptions, and same number of games without a touchdown. And this Tennessee Titans defense, I know they give up production through the air, but they also bring a lot of pressure. They get pressure more than the Rams and Ravens, the teams that Joe Burrow has struggled against as of late. It's okay to say, I want to take a wait-and-see approach and wait until Joe Burrow looks like Joe Burrow before starting him again.
That offense does not look like anything we saw last year from the Bengals offense. Actually, it does. It looks like what we saw in September. Now it's October. Maybe things change. You say no. All right, Florio, stay there. Let's do Who Scores, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's focus on one of the late games. 3 late games today, one of them across the street from us at SoFi. This would be your same-game parlay from DraftKings. Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, who had a huge game a week ago, and Justin Herbert. So if we ask the question, who scores in this game, Florio, who are you going with?
I'll take an easy one here. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had 20 targets last week, and he has at least 9 in every single game. He is the wide receiver 1 right now in fantasy football, playing amazing football. But the Chargers, when they get into the red zone near the end zone, they always went to Mike Williams. He was their leading receiver in end zone targets. With him sidelined now, I think that just means even more put on Keenan Allen's plate. And the Raiders have allowed the 2nd most touchdowns to wide receivers so far this year. I think number 13 finds the end zone in week 4.
Mike Williams out for the year. Unfortunately, ACL injury happened last week in Minnesota. Another one of those 3 late games. The Niners, that great defense against the Cardinals and Josh Dobbs. Who scores in that one?
Brandon Ayuk, he leads the 49ers right now in receiving touchdowns and end zone targets despite missing last week. I think that he is their #1 wide receiver moving forward. He was already getting a lot of volume before he was injured. And the Cardinals, I know they've been kind of stingy to wide receivers so far this year. This is their hardest test yet. And Christian McCaffrey was too easy of an answer to pick.
All right, Christian McCaffrey.
Had to go a little bit deeper.
Very easy answer. Who leads the NFL in rushing? Ahead now of DeAndre Swift. You want more fantasy advice? Florio on the NFL channel, the Fantasy Show on Wednesdays and Fridays, Mondays and Wednesdays. I could read the screen right here. See Florio then. Thank you, sir. As always, that's Who Scores, presented by DraftKings, everybody. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and during Week 4, new customers can get $5, bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use code GAME when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. You are watching NFL Game Day Preview on the NFL channel. I think he's open. Somebody throw to Calvin Ridley. He is open, wide open in Andy's room at Wembley Stadium. It's a Jaguars victory. Highlights coming up.
Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here, and this is NFL Plus, where you can catch every play all in one place. You get access to live, local, and primetime games on your mobile phone and tablet. That's every in-market game with you on the go.
I never knew that was a thing.
Oh yeah. And here's my favorite part. You can stream NFL Red Zone live every Sunday. What are you waiting for?
Game time, baby. Let's go.
Go to plus.nfl.com. Sign up today.
You
gotta love the Cowboys. They're the most exciting team in the NFL.
The nuts and bolts of the Dallas Cowboys is a man with a funny hat.
It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Bill Belichick.
One individual, it doesn't make that much difference in a team.
I'm going to make the decisions that I think are the best for the football team.
The Patriots are unbeaten, perfection personified.
I have a burning desire to be the very best.
Don't be cute, don't be pretty, be good.
It's trusting each other and everybody doing their job.
Jimmy Johnson's taking his team from worst to the best.
2 in a row. How sweet it is.
It's not easy play for me. In the end, it's worth it.
They can't stop us.
The Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
The Cowboys with 5 Super Bowl titles.
We are all Patriots. For
I mentioned there are 3 late games today in the 4 p.m. Eastern time window. One of them's a good one in Dallas, where the Patriots are taking the show on the road. They will be wearing the road blues at AT&T Stadium.
Like them.
Love them. Taking on a Cowboys team reeling after a loss in Arizona. More from the stadium. Hi, Jane Slater.
When the Cowboys drafted Tyler Smith, they envisioned an offensive line that would feature him, Terrence Steele, Tyler Biotish, and Tyron Smith, as well as Zach Martin. Well, that hasn't exactly happened yet. There's been a lot of offensive line disparity as a result of injuries, and we won't get that starting 5 today. It looks like Tyron Smith will not be playing this one at left tackle, and instead of moving Tyler Smith over there, they're going to keep him at guard, favoring Chuma Edoga there instead. As for Biotish and Martin, well, it looks like they are going to be playing today, which is huge, because it was Tony Pollard after the Arizona game who said it was frustrating that they had to remove plays from the playbook as a result of missing some of their starting offensive linemen.
Right, Jane Slater there in Dallas ahead of the Patriots and the Cowboys. I think the Patriots defense can make this game interesting. I don't know if the Patriots offense can generate enough offense against that Cowboys defense. Coach, how do you see this one? What's important?
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for Dallas to get back to what they were doing in their first 2 ball games when they were so dominant. That means they've got to do a better job against the run, which they were doing a really good job against the run. So New England's going to come in with a game plan to be able to run the football and then try to play action a little bit and take some shots down the field. Here's an example of the poor run defense. They were able to get Michael Parsons kind of out of position, playing inside rather than being on the edge. James Conner breaks a long run, and this was happening repeatedly throughout the ball game just a week ago. So it's going to be important that they find a way to be able to play a little bit more 8-man front, get another guy in the box to be able to help with the run, and then you got to be able to handle things on the outside in the passing game.
Coach, they're going to be fine on defense. They'll tighten that part up. The issue has been the Cowboys' offense. I mean, especially in the red zone, and especially in the goal-to-go situations, they have not scored a touchdown in their last 5 goal-to-go circumstances. That's not good. And this offense, what the Patriots are going to do, they're going to take away CeeDee Lamb, right? They've got to find another vertical threat. They are not hitting the ball vertically, and when they get into the red zone from the 20 and in, they are having a hard time figuring out what to do in the passing game because teams are choking off CeeDee Lamb, and the other options are not getting open, Andrew.
The Patriots have the number 5 pass defense for whatever it is worth here in the NFL. As I said, that defense, I think, is going to make this game interesting as they go into Dallas. Again, one of the 3 late games. There was an early game today. Did you get up early? I hope so. To watch Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars against Desmond Ridder and the Falcons. I think Calvin Ridley's open, somewhat open. This opened up the scoring here at Wembley Stadium. The first of 5 international games this season and the only one to be played actually at Wembley. So Calvin Ridley gets a touchdown. He had been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks after a big week 1. Desmond Ridder has been quiet as well. This isn't going to help. The former Ram, the former Raven, Darius Williams with a pick 6.
Can't stare down your receiver and then throw it to him when everyone knows where you're going with the ball.
It got heated a little bit, too, on the Falcons sideline with Mac Hollins having some words with Desmond Ridder. A lot of us thought that maybe Taylor Heineke comes out for the 3rd quarter. That did not happen. Falcons held to under 300 yards of offense here. Jaguars come up big in their home away from home, the first of 2 games for them on the road in London. It's in essence here a London residency. Jaguars win this one 23-7 over the Falcons. They stick around, the Jaguars do, to play another game next week against the Buffalo Bills. Oh, by the way, you can get more on Game Center here throughout the day. All right, coming up here on NFL Game Day Preview, we will lock in on some of the other ones and go back to Buffalo for more on Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins. What do they do after scoring 70 a week ago? Don't go anywhere.
Got a new center.
I love the Niners. This is really fun.
Hey, 7 points this next drive. 7 points. Will not be denied.
Hey, can I celebration that we worked on?
They give an inside handoff to Mostert, and he just about walks in the end zone.
Hey, 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 hey. Yeah! Ah!
People probably I'm a complete psycho.
Y'all ain't got that camaraderie.
Probably.
Yeah, what? That camaraderie. Camaraderie. Oh, camaraderie.
Man, they have great camaraderie. So does the entire Watt family. Great camaraderie here. This is a cool moment because TJ, who has 6 sacks already, is back with the Steelers in Houston, where JJ, who's been out of the NFL for what, like 5 minutes? I think 5 minutes. Is already going into the Ring of Honor. Well-deserved, by the way, for the Houston Texans, a future Hall of Famer. Well-deserved, but they did not wait. He's getting his name up there in the rafters. Welcome back to NFL Game Day Preview here on the NFL Channel. Looks at the clock. We're roughly 15 minutes away from kickoff. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Coach Leslie Frazier, Steve White here as well. As we put that game in the spotlight, haven't really talked about it, guys. I said, Coach, it's one of my sneaky, low-key games of the week here because C.J. Stroud's played really well. The Steelers' offense has not played well. Texans at home. What do you think?
I think I'm like you. This is going to be a very interesting game. Now, the Steelers' offense, their coaches, just in talking with some of the guys earlier this week, they feel like they've turned the corner after that Raiders game. So we will see what happens against the Texans. But C.J. Stroud, man, he's gotten everyone's attention. But going against the Steelers' defense, these guys are pretty good. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You take a look at the way they are able to not only pressure the quarterback with TJ, but their secondary is playing really, really well. Patrick Peterson has been a great addition to what they're trying to get accomplished on defense. That had been a weak spot a year ago, but now the secondary is becoming a strength, and that helps that pass rush. Good job by the guys being able to close in on the football and force it out. This is another great play by Patrick. His experience and the way he comes in and competes on every single down, Steve, guys get excited. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. It's kind of rubbed off on everybody. Then my guy Levi Wallace from Buffalo Bill comes up with a pick. I mean, it's just a great job here being able to come in and punch the football out in the game on defense. Their secondary has really stepped up to complement the really good pass rush that they do have.
And they're steadily getting rookie Joey Porter into action, too, into that secondary. But I want to go to the Steelers' offense because, you know, you just said you talked to some people who feels that they turned a corner. They better hope so because they weren't really turning much of a corner for a long time. But we did see some things. Kenny Pickett off the play action against the Raiders I thought was very good, and they're getting the ball downfield. We can pick at this offense after the first two games, but remember who they played. They played the Niners and the Browns, two very good defenses. So we will see again today against a tough defense. I think Houston's defense is going to give them some issues, especially from what we've seen last week from Houston. Not only their defensive front playing well, their secondary, special teams for the Texans has looked very good, and that could be something also that factors into things.
They had the Andrew Beck 85-yard kick return touchdown for an up back, 85 yards last week in Jacksonville, and people think I'm beating up on the Steelers' offense. I'm not. They have 41 first downs. Only the Jets have fewer first downs than the Steelers. Those two touchdowns, two big strikes, Calvin Austin and George Pickens. Great plays. Other than that, this offense has done nothing. Reasonably healthy as well, that offense. The Ravens' offense, not healthy at all. First two backs are out. Top two wide receivers are out. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley is out. But, Coach, they got Lamar Jackson today in Cleveland.
Lamar Jackson, he's the great equalizer, although they're missing some key components of their offense, and they're missing some guys on defense as well. But having Lamar Jackson, you feel like you always have a chance to win. And I know for Todd Monken, this is a big test because Cleveland is playing at a high level on defense, so it's going to be important that Lamar is able to maybe get back to some of the things he's done with the quarterback runs.
Todd Monken, former Cleveland offensive coordinator in the disastrous 2019 Freddie Kitchens campaign. This is Jalen Hurts warming up Steve White. Jalen Hurts only lost in the regular season the last 2 years. Just to the Commanders last year in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, I really watched Washington's offensive line. We've seen them play well at times and not so well, especially in pass protection. If Sam Howell has got to drop back and throw that ball 30 times, that is a long, long day for him because that is a tough ask for that offensive line against the Eagles' defensive front.
Absolutely. Jalen Carter up there with Aaron Donald, top two defensive tackles of the NFL at quarterback pressures. Let's make some quick picks. Let's go to Chicago. Coach, Steve and I are taking the Broncos.
Come on,
I respect you for taking your old Bears.
Guys take the Broncos over the Bears, and the Bears are at home. I'm going with the Bears.
Okay, can I, real quick here? If the Bears lose and the Panthers lose, then the Bears, there's Leslie Frazier.
Leslie Frazier.
Then the Bears will head into week 5 with the first and second picks already next year. Is it too soon for that?
I think it may be a little bit too
It's a little bit too soon.
Man.
All right, but let's put those two games together here. All right, let's go Vikings-Panthers here. We're all taking the Vikings. Do that just for you, another one of your former teams.
You know, and first off, before he got to the Bears, he was a star at Alcorn State. And this year he went into the Black College Football Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
So congrats to the Alcorn State Brave. Look, the Minnesota Vikings here, this is an opportunity for them to put up some points against a team that just flat out can't score. I mean, Carolina is struggling offensively. Minnesota, if they hang on to the ball, they're going to get back going, you know, and putting points on the board. They get a win today. I think they've got the opportunity to string together a couple wins and get back into this NFC North race.
We have not yet touched the Rams and the Colts. Interesting here, both left tackles are out. Bernard Ryman out for the Colts. Alaric Jackson is out for the Rams. Coach, you like the Rams in this one?
I like the Rams. The Colts are doing some good things on defense, but the Rams, they've really stepped up as well on defense. Got a lot of young players, but they're playing extremely well. Being able to hold Cincinnati to 19 points a week ago, that was big. Now the Rams are going to have to play a little bit better on offense. We need Matthew Stafford to do a little bit better job of being able to protect the football. Can't turn it over but I like the Rams in this ball game. I don't think the Colts are going to be able to score enough to win.
Okay, Rams-Colts about to kick off, one of 9 games early. Also about to kick off, the Bucs and the Saints in the NFC South. Not only is Derek Carr back in uniform, Alvin Kamara is playing his first game this year after the 3-game suspension. Coach is taking the Bucs. Steve, you and I are going with the Saints.
Go with the Saints. I was going to take the Bucs, and then I realized what I saw of the Bucs offense again last week, and going up against a Saints defense that is so good at all 3 levels. Demario Davis continues to be the most unheralded and unrespected player in the NFL, the linebacker for the Saints. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems for Baker Mayfield and what the Bucs try to do offensively. And if Tampa can't run like they could last week, they could be in trouble against the Saints.
Buccaneers had only 3 offensive possessions in the second half on Monday night. Also had that one-play drive that was a safety where Baker got taken down in the end zone. All right, that one's about to kick. Also about to kick, a pretty good game in Buffalo.
Today, some heat, some adversity. This is as tough of a condition as you're going to get.
Touchdown, Lions! Allen, incomplete! McKenzie's tackled in bounds with seconds left. It's over!
One job to get done today, man. Find a W.
Cruises into the end zone, right down the middle, and nobody was going to catch him. Touchdown, Buffalo! Bring on the snow! Snow's flying in the air. The kick is good! The Bills win it! Amazing!
Welcome to the playoffs! The Dolphins are going to be without their starting quarterback.
Sloppy football by the Bills.
It don't matter, but it's the playoffs.
The game on the line.
It's incomplete and a turnover on down.
Don't matter how we win, it's if we win.
They played 3 times last year. The Bills won 2 of the 3, including both in Buffalo with this guy here calling the defense. We spoke earlier, though, about how much this Miami offense has evolved, how fast they are playing. Not just the speed of the guys with the football, but the speed at which Tua is getting the ball out. Is the goal here today make him hold the ball a little bit longer? Like, just if they can get to 3 seconds, I feel like, as absurd as that sounds, they have a shot.
They have a shot. If they can get that accomplished, which I know they're going to do everything they can to disrupt the timing between Tua and his wide receivers, because, as you mentioned, he's getting the football out so quickly that, you don't really have a chance to do anything other than try to tackle the receivers. So you got to find a way to disrupt the timing and limit the explosives in the run game as well as the pass game. And the Bills, as we've talked about before, they're one of those teams that can rush with 4, which is something you have to be able to do in a game like this.
And you got to be able to tackle in the open field. You know what we haven't talked about very much? The Bills offense.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, Buffalo is the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL. Josh Allen is playing well, and I think they are going to put up a test against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are not going to have Jalen Phillips right here. I would expect Buffalo to try to work the edges, either with a quick passing game or try to get James Cook out there on kind of some sweep actions, to that way to try to push and get Miami Dolphins' good defensive line running horizontally, then strike vertically. I think Buffalo's offense has a chance to do something right here to keep up in a potential track meet of a game.
It's a great point here, Steve, because, I mean, remember, there's week 1, they lost, the Bills did, to the Jets at MetLife, the Aaron Rodgers game, and then, the headline week 2 was, oh my God, Josh can't stop turning the ball over. He's cut that down. Yes. They're playing well. They played great last week. Granted, aided by 5 turnovers from that defense, but no one's talking about the Bills this week outside of Western New York. It's Miami, and they're the greatest thing on television. I said that earlier, too. Do not sleep.
That with a little bit
on
of
these Buffalo Bills.
A little bit of jadedness in your voice.
I just think I agree with
hate
you.
action.
People are forgetting about the Bills. Let's make some Sunday statements. These aren't necessarily bold predictions, but they are. We're just repackaging. They've been calling them Sunday statements. We're doing it our way. Steve, make a Sunday statement.
Oh, Leslie, listen up. Russell Wilson is going to throw for at least 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against your Bears.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Can't figure out how to stop anybody.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll be coming back. My bold statement, Andrew, I'm picking Derrick Henry to come back, bounce back from a tough game last week. He's going to rush for over 100 yards. His first 100-yard rushing game of the season.
Derrick Henry last week had 11 carries for 20 yards against the Browns. One of those 11 went for 9.
Yeah.
So you take that carry out. You can't. But he would have had 10 for 11. Tennessee had all kinds of offensive line issues last week, hopefully, to make your statement happen. They don't this week. My Sunday statement is this. Justin Herbert last week threw for 405 yards. That was a career high. Surprised me. I thought he might have had a 400, but he hadn't. On the road at Minnesota. I think today he sets another career high with the Raiders coming to town. I think this might be one of the wildest, wackiest games of the week, hands down. It's going to be a Raiders crowd. Always is. Sorry, Chargers fans. When they take over SoFi, it's Aiden O'Connell. It's Justin Herbert. Yes, I just put them at the same sentence. I think this game is fun, and I think that Justin Herbert throws for a career high.
Happen.
Better than 405 again. Coach, this is fun. You want to do it again?
I would love to do it again. Okay. Yes.
Great
Leslie
job.
Frazier.
Great
He'll be
job.
back with us
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thanks,
Steve
Dad.
White, as always. For Michael Florio, for Cynthia Freeland, I'm Andrew Siciliano. Thank you for watching NFL Game Day Preview. Game Center is next. Enjoy Week 4, friends. So long.
Hey everybody, welcome to NFL Game Center presented by FanDuel. I'm Patrick Claybon. We got an incredible slate of games today, and Game Center's got you covered with highlights and social reactions for all of them. Get ready for a fun day of football. Enjoy the show.
I don't do this for a paycheck.
We got a day for football here.
Step out on the field and hear.
Hey, we dogs, each and every one of us. Create your own energy. Every single step, you dominate.
I'll be there for life. All I'm dreaming of, 'cause it's in my blood. I'm in this for the love.
Mahomes, back of the end zone, touch the man.
You can't script out.
It is on right now. Holy smokes. Right. outlier to this offense.
Only 9 starts last season. Stafford throws on first down. It's gathered in by Puka Nacua. What a story over the first 3 weeks. 30 receptions, most ever by a player over his first 3 NFL games.
And right on cue with Puka Nacua, the concentration that he has, goes and tips it right to himself, gets the completion. Everything about him is physical, concentration, awareness. The first thing we asked about, hey, did you know?
On 2nd and 1, Fields back to the air to DJ Moore. And that's good for a first down. Tamari Mathis on the tackle for the Broncos. We mentioned this in our opening segment, but
from the 41-yard line, play action, one-on-one, back shoulder throw, and a great catch by Terry McLaurin, going up against Josh Jobe for 14 more.
Well, that's 2 passes in a row. Ball out quickly with great location by Sam Howell. The first one, the slant to the middle of the field. There's the back shoulder throw, and a great spot because that's really good coverage by Josh Jobe. That's just greatly executed on the outside quarterback wide receiver.
It's been a bit of a quiet start.
First couple of years with the Steelers, former 3rd-round pick of Pittsburgh, starting against his former team at left guard. Here's the pitch to Pierce, bounces to the outside. And this is an encouraging start for Houston. Their run game has been non-existent so far this season. Pierce with a run of 13.
Now, great lead blocking first by Beck, or the tight end, and then Beck around the corner. And right at TJ Watt, but this is an excellent job. And look, they've been trying to get the running game going. It's disappointing, especially you consider where they were.
averaging over 6 yards a carry this year.
I mean, that's just 2nd and 8. Josh throws it down the field. He's got his man. Who else but Diggs? And a flag comes in on the sideline. A flag added on to the back end of this.
I mean, this is like, you'd acted like they scored the touchdown.
There's Allen taken to the right, going in the end zone. And who else? Gabe Davis with the touchdown catch on the opening drive. Big game, Gabe! It's almost automatic when we have a Bills game that Gabe finds the end zone. It didn't take but 4 minutes and 19 seconds today.
This place was electric earlier. Everyone knew this is a huge game. You're going to go ahead and watch Gabe right here kind of go out and get around on the outside, sure fields, and a bullet and a strike.
To get space for Matthew Stafford. On 1st and goal, Williams takes it in for a Rams touchdown. 5th score of the season for Kyren Williams.
And that is one way to start a game. Nice job by the Rams offense. Very methodical, very efficient. And Kyren Williams, he sees the hole. I love that he never...
To the wide side of the field. Cousins throws, picked off, and it could be trouble up the far sideline. Sam Franklin from the 1-yard line. Cousins trying to track him down. He'll cut it back, get a block, and he'll go 99 yards for the score.
This is just an ill-advised decision. You're going to see K.J. Osborne run to the outside. Sam Franklin, number 42, is right there the entire way, reading the eyes of Kirk Cousins. It's one of the many mistakes that, unfortunately, Minnesota has had this year that's led them to this 0-3 record.
got his tight end Logan Thomas back. They like him in the red zone. It is a handoff to Samuel, and he can walk in. Jet sweep for a touchdown, capping a 14-play drive.
When you get motion with Curtis Samuel, you've got to move, right? He's going to be coming this way. Look at your linebackers. You didn't move. You're outflanked. Your beat right now is Zach Cunningham. You've got to slide. You got to move when you see that jet motion coming. Keep your leverage.
7.
back, it means the defense made it look muddy.
First and 10. Bernard really had a play on it, like I said. Here he goes down the field. He's got another connection. There's Tyreek. Out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Tyreek Hill, he's averaged over 100 yards a game as a Dolphin since coming over from Kansas City, but he has